It started with a yellow envelope taped to my front door. It wasn't from the county, not from a utility company, not even the mailman. It was from my HOA, my Homeowners Association, a place I thought was there to keep the neighborhood beautiful, safe, functional. But that yellow envelope was the beginning of a nightmare that would cost me over a year of my life, nearly all my savings, and almost my home. All over $100. Fine, let me take you back to the beginning. I live in a small, quiet subdivision just outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. 3-bedroom homes, little front yards, American flags on the porches, like something out of a postcard. I moved there after my divorce wanting peace, normalcy, a place to raise my 10-year-old son Eli. The house was perfect, not huge but comfortable, safe. I bought it outright with a small inheritance after my father passed. No mortgage, just property taxes and a few hundred a year for the HOA. It was worth it, I thought, until the HOA showed me what it really meant to have rules. One Thursday morning, I forgot to bring the trash cans in. That's it. That's all I did. I work. Construction. I was on a week-long out-of-town job and completely forgot to ask the neighbor to bring them in for me. Trash pickup is on Monday. I got home Thursday night and brought them in the moment I remembered. That Sunday, the yellow envelope appeared. Notice of violation, improper trash can storage. A $100 fine. At first I laughed. Honest mistake, I'll just pay it. I logged into the HOA portal, typed in my card and clicked submit. Payment processed, done forgotten until 42 days later, another envelope. This one certified mail. Inside, a final demand letter stating I owed $512.78. Apparently, they never received my payment. Or so they said. It had late fees, interest, and something called an administrative review fee. I immediately called the HOA number, straight to voicemail. I left a message, then another. Then I emailed. Nothing. By the end of the week, a new letter came. Notice of intent to lien. I panicked. I found the payment confirmation from the portal. I had the receipt. I printed it, highlighted it, and mailed it to their office certified with a signed return receipt. I thought that would be enough. It wasn't. 2 weeks later, I came home to a notice taped over my front door, just like before, but this one was different. It said, Notice of lien filed, foreclosure proceedings pending. I nearly threw up. Immediately contacted an attorney. She explained something I didn't want to believe. In North Carolina, an HOA has the legal power to file a lien against your property. And if that lien isn't resolved, they can start foreclosure. Even if your house is paid off, even if your original fine was under $100, my entire house was on the line over a dispute about a trash can. My lawyer said, this happens more than you think. Apparently, HOAs across the country file thousands of foreclosures over small fines. In Texas, Florida, Georgia, California, you name it, there are HOAs that foreclose over weeds, mailbox paint, garage door colors, and they're almost impossible to stop once the wheels are turning. We filed a formal dispute. My lawyer sent over bank records, transaction logs, and demanded a halt to the foreclosure process. That's when the HOA sent us their trump card. They claimed I hadn't just failed to pay the $100 fine. They claimed I had a history of non-compliance, that I had refused repeated attempts to resolve the issue, that I'd accrued 6 separate violations, all within a few months. All of them were news to me. They said I parked my truck on the street. True. For 2 hours during a landscaping job, they said my grass was too long. It rained for 2 straight weeks. I literally couldn't mow. They said my Christmas lights stayed up past the deadline. I took them down January 5th. They said January 3rd was the rule. Every one of these so-called violations carried a fine, $50. Here, $75 there, plus late fees, admin fees, enforcement review fees. According to the HOA, I now owed $1,292.45. When we asked for proof they had sent these notices, they gave us scanned PDFs, blurry, undated, with no delivery confirmation. And still, the board refused to stop the foreclosure process. They gave me 15 days to pay, or they'd proceed with a forced sale of the property. I was watching my home, my son's school district, our entire life, slipped through my fingers. My attorney filed a temporary injunction, which paused the process, barely. We then requested a hearing to dispute the charges. That hearing was a joke. It was held in a strip mall conference room. 3 board members sat across from us, one of whom lived 4 doors down from me. They weren't neutral. They weren't even professional. They smirked, scoffed, whispered to each other while we spoke. When I showed my payment receipt, they said the system had a glitch. When I showed photos proving my grass was trimmed, they said optical illusions. When I read the bylaws that said Christmas lights were allowed through January 6th, they shrugged. They upheld the fines, all of them. The lien remained. I had 2 choices: pay the $1,392.45 plus legal fees or risk foreclosure. That weekend, my son asked if we were moving again. I'd moved him enough. I paid the fine, but I wasn't done. I contacted my local news station. They aired a short segment on my story, showing the letters, the hearing room, the HOA's refusal to back down. That's when the floodgates opened. Hundreds of emails came in. People all across the state with similar stories. Foreclosures over fence heights, over satellite dishes, over cars parked slightly askew. One man in the next county over lost his house over a $200 fee for pressure washing his driveway, too. Late in the season, it wasn't just my HOA, it was a system, a quiet legalized grift, hiding behind well-manicured lawns and neighborhood newsletters. I filed a civil lawsuit against the HOA for malicious prosecution and abuse of power. My lawyer brought in experts in real estate law, and we subpoenaed internal board communications. That's when the twist came. Turns out the HOA president, my neighbor, the same one smirking during the hearing, owned a private company contracted by the HOA for violation enforcement services. He profited directly from every violation issued in the neighborhood. Every time someone forgot their trash can, mowed a day late, or had a rust spot on a mailbox, his company logged it, billed it, and got paid. He had a financial incentive to fine his neighbors. Our suit included that conflict of interest, and this time in front of a real judge, not a biased board. The truth mattered. After 6 months of litigation, depositions, and stress, so much stress, I won. The HOA was ordered to clear the lien, pay back my legal fees, and remove the board member with the enforcement company. They were also fined by the state for conflict of interest violations. I kept my home, my son kept his school, I kept our peace, but I'll never trust another HOA again. Since then, I've joined a grassroots group pushing for HOA reform at the state level. We're working on a bill that would prevent foreclosures over non-essential fines under $500 and require neutral third-party mediation before any lien action. I used to think HOAs were just annoying, but now I know they can be dangerous, especially when no one is watching. So if you're watching this and you live in an HOA, check your bylaws. Ask about fines. Get everything in writing. Keep every receipt, because if it happened to me, it could happen to you. Have you had a crazy experience with your HOA? Let me know in the comments. I read every single one. And if you found this story helpful, consider subscribing. We've got more real-life HOA nightmares coming soon, and you won't believe what they've gotten away with. Thanks for watching. Stay safe. And watch your mailbox.